and welcome to this week's edition of Lando's Palace. I'm your co-host Kahari Mosley here with Lukman Abdul Salam, aka Gray Jedi Lukey. And I got to come up with a code name as well. And I believe in the Thandalorian will be joining us shortly within the hour. But we have another action-packed show today. A lot to talk about. With all the politics going on in the world, it's only inevitable that the politics spills over to the Star Wars universe, and that's what happened this week with Gina Carano, aka Cara Dune, was summarily fired by Lucasfilm for a tweet that was sent out. I was in a long string of controversial tweets over the last 5 or 6 months, whether it was about COVID and masks, about questioning the validity of the election. And then it kind of came to a head this past week with a IG post with the visual from the Holocaust, comparing the plight of Republicans in America today to the plight of our Jewish brothers and sisters and what they had to deal with in the Holocaust, which of course, is it gets to the point where, even Favreau and Pedro Pascal, who have definitely, sent out tweets and things over the past couple months, kind of, letting people know that, they still rock with her, without getting to the politics. Clearly they feel different. And it seems like, Disney reached out, because even Pedro Pascal put up a tweet that a lot of people have been putting up with like a Confederate flag and a Nazi flag and a MAGA hat, but he took it down. So I feel as though anytime somebody who works for Lucasfilm puts up a post like that, on whatever side of the political spectrum you want to choose, I feel like they holler at you, and then, people take it down, and then they fall back. I feel like that's is not what happened, with Gina. But, Lukman, is there anything that you, have found over the past couple of days, just with all the news that's been out there with the Gina Carano controversy?
I mean, she's definitely clapping back. I mean, she has an article on Vanity Fair. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's basically going in about like how this is not going to stop her. And I actually think it probably galvanized her base a little bit more. The fact that she got fired from Lucasfilm, on that level.
Right.
And as far as her acting career, what have you, I don't, who knows? But she seems like she's going full force ahead with it. I just wanted to say though, like, they didn't do that to her. They didn't give her a chance to like take it down. It seems like they just like kind of, came off with the axe right away. And maybe it was a sense of this is just, been going on for too long. You know what I mean? Right. This is like the camel that broke the straw, the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say, right?
Right.
That's kind of the sense I got. You know what I mean? Like the fact that she didn't take it down. Did she take it down? Actually,
she did take it down. Actually,
eventually,
she did take it down. But I think because of the nature of the issue. You know what I'm saying? It's like once you get into like the Holocaust,
man, that's a touchy.
Death camps, it's like no one's getting taken to death camps. You know what I'm saying? It's just you start to get into a place where like no one can really have your back at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's a real, if not to say touchy subject, you know what I'm saying? To kind of compare to, you know what I mean? There's obviously no comparison whatsoever when it comes to that. We live in some interesting times, man. You know what I'm saying? Where a tweet, you know what I mean? An FB post, you know what I'm saying, will get you fired, yo.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We'll have like stock market crashing on you, you know what I'm saying? Right. We'll have, you know what I mean? So cats need to be careful what they put out there and what they post. It's funny, like, 20, 30 years ago, we would have never knew what her politics were. Right. You know what I'm saying? Unless she gave her an interview. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would have never knew, but now, like, you know what I'm saying, all of a sudden everybody has to show what their politics are. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's interesting, man. It's just a whole take on society as well, not just on what she's doing,
exactly.
Or what she did. But and also another thing is just back on the Star Wars thing, what they're going to do with her character. You know what I mean? Because she was a strong character. I actually liked her character,
Absolutely.
I have no problem, like, separating art from politics, man. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I mean, there's a few rappers that we ain't like what they did off stage, yo. You know what I'm saying? We ain't agree what they was doing off stage, but yo, man, they could rhyme, you know what I mean?
Right.
I bought their music, and I supported their music, you know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with acting as well. There's a lot of actors I'm sure I like that I wouldn't agree with their politics, you know what I mean? And I liked their character, and I thought their
Right.
character was very, very central to the story. So it's gonna be interesting what Lucasfilm, what they do, Filani and Favreau, what they do with her character and how they like kind of, since the fact that everyone knows that she was fired, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, what they gonna do? Just blow her up in the first first 5 minutes, like you said, like you posted, like all of a sudden, boom, she's gone, or
Right.
they're gonna recast,
Right.
which is gonna be hard to do because she was a unique character, you know what I'm saying? It had unique qualities that her persona brought to the character, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's gonna be hard to kind of recast, man. So
Absolutely.
so I
Absolutely.
don't know, man. You know, it's interesting because our character was such an integral part, and it was like talk about her having her own series or her
Right.
own mini series or
Right.
you know a side movie, you know what I
Right.
mean? Or you know, she was definitely going to be in the Boba Fett joint, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was like all that talk was like there, and now it's gone because of a tweet, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
so
Right.
it's interesting. So on Lucasfilm's side, it kind of, I think it definitely messed up their plans, but they must have had to feel that way to like cut her off. You
Right.
know what I'm
Right. And from what I understand is like there was multiple conversations. Like, you know, you gotta fall back. Like it's cool, you can feel however you want to feel. Like, but you can't, you know, become an echo chamber for like, you know, anti-masking and, you know, becoming an echo chamber for, you know, questioning the validity of the 2020 election. You know what I mean? Once you go there, it's like, yo, like, you know what I mean? And then she took it to a whole other level, you know what I'm saying, this week, where it's just like, at this point, you know what I mean, it's become so much, you know, of a distraction. And just to your point about, you know, the series, I know one of the things that I heard is, if you noticed, you know, they mentioned Rangers of a New Republic, but if you notice, like there wasn't a lot of talk about it. It didn't have like the sizzle reel. It didn't have, and from what I understand, from December on, they were like that project's kind of been on hold, like as far as revolving around her, because they thought that this moment may happen, so they kind of step back from that investment to a certain degree.
Wow.
Maybe a project that comes to fruition, but they kind of hit the pause button, and that's why they didn't push it as much as they were pushing the names of some of the other projects that are coming out, because they already had, you know, a certain level of reluctance, you know, based on, you know, how, you know, she really wasn't responding to just like, yo, just fall back, you know what I mean? Really just fall back and get this bag, you know what I mean? It's always about money, but you know what I mean? Just, you know, I mean, you see it in sports all the time, you know what I mean? From Antonio Brown, you know, to other people who just, you know what I mean, work their way out of town, you know what I mean?
Right.
Did, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, AB, hopefully now he got himself back together, man. Got a Super Bowl with Tommy, you know what I'm saying? So everything should be cool with AB, right? But
Right.
nah, man, definitely, man. I mean, you know, and the fact that the show was what it was, and the fact that the platform itself, Disney Plus, is blown up over the last, you know, month or so, as far as, you know, 100, you know, billions, you know, subscribers. Right. I'm being facetious, but it's been up there like that. You know, the fact that all that's, her platform grew, you know what I mean? So like she's tweeting, you know, she got like, you know what I mean? She got a base. Oh, word, you know, and it's larger. She knows that from her personal standpoint, and her personal branding, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna say more, you know what I mean? So it seems like her vibe is like that anyway.
Right.
Like she just don't give a F, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
MMA, you know,
MMA, right.
Folks, they're nice with their hands. They, you know what I mean? There's a certain level of fear that they don't have, because they feel like if push comes to shove, you know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna be able to handle themselves no matter what happens. So.
Right. And her as a woman, you know what I mean? The fact that she's you know, physically bigger than, you know, 40% of men, you know what I'm saying? Like she's physically bigger than some men, you know what I'm saying? So she has a vibe like, yo, man, I don't care. Yo, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Right.
And that vibe.
Right. And I mean, and she's a real life badass for real.
Yeah,
like, she's not like a made up, like, you know, Clint Eastwood playing a badass. Like she's a badass. Like she's a professional fighter, a combat athlete. You know what I mean? Who's been in there with 30,000 people watching, getting punched in the head, punching people in the head, which is it's just a different level of perspective.
MAA, but getting kicked an elbow in the head too, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
you know what I'm saying?
I was just gonna say, and that's what brought she brought that energy to the character, and that's what made her
Right.
character so popular and so enigmatic, so
Right.
central to the story. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because of that energy, because of that
Right.
badass energy, like you said. So,
Right.
for me, it was like 50-50. It's like, oh man, she's not gonna be
Right.
in the joint no more. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I could care less what she thought. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As long as she was up on that joint, coming in catching wreck,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Coming in shooting down like 20 stormtroopers, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
her
Right.
another homegirl, I forget her name, man, the Asian sister, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, Ming Na.
Yeah, man, they was catching wreck all
Yeah.
through, particularly the last half of the season. Man, they
Right.
caught wreck. I was loving when they was coming in on the
Right.
front end of things and just catching wreck, shooting things down, clearing things away for Mando and for Grogu. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, in the final episode, I mean, that's the iconic scene. We have the four women rolling through. You know what I'm saying? Bo-Katan, Cara Dune, you know what I'm saying? Fennec Shand, you know what I'm saying? And Bo-Katan's homie, her name is escaping me right now, but she's an MMA fighter as well. You know what I'm saying? And that was like a dope scene, you know what I'm saying? And it's ill, before we, move to other news, if you watch, the season 1 Star Wars gallery behind the scenes of The Mandalorian, and you look at the cast episode, I mean, she seems like, really actually kind of a dope person, as far as in that interview, you know what I mean? Of course,
right.
the wax stuff that she posted aside, but she seemed like someone who was getting into, becoming an artist, going from athlete into art and really taking it seriously. Like the things she was saying and the amount of respect that she had for actors like Carl Weathers. And it seemed like she was there just to soak up game from all these people, these dope directors and these dope, you know what I mean? It seemed like she really, got that aspect of it. And she was handpicked by Favreau. I know Favreau, is sick. Yeah. Thanks Chuck for that. But yeah, and he handpicked her, and because he's like an old school Hollywood guy from a certain point of view that, certain people used to get gigs because of a physical element that they brought. So in the 50s, a lot of real cowboys would get cast in roles that required people to ride horseback and stuff like that. So, from a combat perspective, he wanted a combat athlete, to play that role. He didn't want an actor needing to learn how to fight. He wanted a fighter to learn how to act. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So he had picked her. Like, she did not get an audition. She did not get interviewed. She got handpicked by Favreau. You know what I'm saying?
Right in.
Yeah, you know what I mean? What she did on some other stuff. So, that it definitely throws, the whole piece for a loop, as we go into season 3, because they have to figure out what to do with her. They invested so much into the character. She's such an integral part of the story, even though some will argue that she's not. You have to somehow, you know what I mean? It's just like, we know there's going to be some sort of demise, but, they're going to have to figure out something to make it just not like, oh, you know what I mean? After school special style, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or, Tom and Jerry, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. But there's a lot more, as we get into season 3. I'll let you, finish, this segment, and then we'll jump into latest news from Pedro Pascal, how that might impact season 3 as well.
No. I was just going to say, man, just so as a rebuttal to her central role in the series. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she had a major role, man, and a major character, and like everything kind of related. So she related to all the other characters. You know what I mean? She had a connection to all the other characters. You know what I mean? From the gate, and like, so she had a real major role, man. You know what I mean? And you expected to see her. I know it was episode the Rodriguez episode, man. And even the last episode when they came up on the ship before Luke came through, man, they came through catching wreck, yo. I mean, like, man, they was catching so much wreck. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the Rodriguez episode, man, they caught mad wreck all the way through the episode, man. They had me sized, and they was letting her like kind of get more open. You know what I'm saying? Like with her physical stuff, is like through season 2, as the season progressed, you saw more and more of her getting loose. You know what I'm saying? And I was expecting to see more of that. You know what I mean? So her role was real central to the whole aspect of what was happening with the series.
Absolutely. And we dropped a couple, articles. We'll drop some more into the chat.
Yeah, she gave a. She's talking real greasy in Vanity Fair the
Okay.
other day.
Yeah,
The other day.
I dropped the
Yeah,
Vanity Fair. Yeah, I dropped the Vanity Fair article. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So,
She's talking real greasy.
yeah.
She ain't backing up at all, man.
No, now what she linked up with Ben Shapiro. For those who are not familiar, Ben Shapiro is a conservative kind of you know thought leader.
He has a big YouTube following, YouTube
He's a
channel.
big, like a columnist kind of
Joe
culture.
Rogan. He's been on Joe Rogan's show. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I guess before he got into political communications, before he was doing that, he was like trying to be a screenwriter. So I guess
Yeah.
him and yeah, so I guess him and Gina Carano are now working on a script. And
What?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. They're going to work on a film project, and it's coming out of a studio that's a conservative studio that actually just released like a school shooting movie from a conservative point of view. So I
yeah.
like if everybody had guns, like, you know what I mean, this will happen if somebody try to run up, you know what I mean, like that kind of point of view, I think. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting. But jumping to back to Star Wars and away from politics, Mandalorian season 3. One of the biggest news is that Pedro Pascal, just got picked up, for a major role on HBO, and that's going to be his main thing. That's going to be top priority. So folks don't know how much time he's going to have, for the Mandalorian, and the show is called Last of Us. And he's going to be the main character, and that's going to be top priority. So it's a question of what how much time, and is it going to be more like season 2, where there was definitely portions of time he wasn't around, and they took advantage of the fact that he's in the mask, but obviously toward the end of season 2 he was taking the mask off. So are they going to go back to that? Because a lot of, even when he's delivering lines on screen, Pedro, a lot of times isn't in the suit. It's just recordings that they're playing, and most of the lines that he provides, any line he provides with the mask on, he actually records in the studio. You know what I mean? It's like voiceover work. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be really interesting. I'm gonna drop, a couple articles about, this TV show called Last of Us, this new project that he's going to be the main character on. And they're thinking that it may impact season 3 of The Mandalorian, his availability.
I mean, if he does that, man, if they push back season 3, I mean, I think he could kind of do both, man. You know what I'm saying? And and even if the way they're doing it, where you have all these other series, you have like the Bad Batch, you have the Obi-Wan, the Boba Fett. So you have all these other characters that are being brought up. So maybe they can kind of bring those characters in the Mandalorian series. You know what I'm saying? So you have some episodes possibly without him in it. You know what I mean? And they did that kind of early on. They would do a long extended scenes, or they would do certain episodes where he wasn't very much involved. They did a lot in season 1 too. Right. Season 1, he spoke very little. You know what I'm saying? And right. he didn't take his joint off until the end, right? Right. And then season 2, he started taking his mask off. He took it off like 3 or 4 times throughout the whole season, and he started talking more. If you notice that, you know what I'm saying? Because in season 1, he ain't talked that much. When he talked, but it was a lot of motion action. It was a lot of, you know what I'm saying? So it's interesting how his character has developed, and obviously we know who he is now. And so to have another actor in that would kind of mess up the continuity. So I think, maybe you could be able to work around it. The Mandalorian universe is expanding. So maybe you have an episode where Luke is up in that piece, and it's just Luke, you know what I'm saying? And it's Ahsoka, because you brought the storyline from Ahsoka's series into the Mandalorian series, and you can kind of do like that. So the fact that they're doing it that way and making it like all these series tie in together, it kind of makes it easier on the actors. It was like that with Marvel too, if you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like those ensemble movies made it a lot easier on the actors. They made it a lot easier on, the main characters that were in a lot of those films. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could tell they got burnt out. Like Robert Downey Jr. was like, I'm done with Iron Man. You know what I'm saying? After a while, because he got burnt out. But those ensemble movies kind of helped him and it kept him in there for longer than he really wanted to, because he was able to not shoot as much or not have as much on him. You know what I'm saying? And And you kind of saw that, throughout the Marvel thing. So, it may work, man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I know they're going to start pre-production in April. Because right now Boba Fett is in production, and still slated for that December 2021 release. And obviously Mandalorian sometime, in season 2. I know they're going into pre-production now. I mean, not now, but in April. But obviously, you're right. I mean, we got, Andor, in pre-production. I assume maybe in production already. I know Obi-Wan is in pre-production, about to begin production. Like you said, the Bad Batch, is coming out, later this year. So there's going to be, a lot of opportunity, to fill in the gaps. And I think by the, right now, folks are really dying for the Mandalorian, but I think
Yeah, right.
once these other projects come into the fold, there's going to be so many projects, by the time we get into 2022, when Mandalorian season 3 comes out,
Exactly.
that folks are not going to miss it, like they're missing it right now.
Right. And I mean, this happens all the time. I'm sure whatever contract he has with Lucasfilm, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure, like, the fact that he's doing this, it's cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm sure, like, there's time enough for him to do this and then get back on the Mandalorian. You know what I'm saying? And, like,
Right.
let him get off, man. Let him get off, man. He getting some love, man. You know what I'm saying? He's a great actor. He's a great actor. He's a great actor. Every movie he's been in, he shines from an acting tip. And I think just let him get off, man. Let him do his thing,
Right. Yeah, but and some of the stuff that we're seeing, is that, like, Mandalorian season 3 is going to be more like a movie. We shared some of that before. It's going to get bigger. They're learning how to use the volume. The 270-degree set that mixes green screen technology with practical sets. So they've learned more, and like with anything, even like with this platform that we've been using, for 10 episodes, that we're learning it as we go along. And as you learn new technology, you get better at it. So they're really trying to get, even bigger and even more ambitious, for season 3. And it's just going to be interesting to see, obviously, where the story goes, how, again, we talked about in past episodes, how it's going to still somehow culminate, in this, Boba Fett, Ahsoka. Now we don't know what's going on with Rangers of the New Republic. You know what I mean? But some people have actually showed the old head brother, the old head Asian brother that was building with Cara Dune. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the one episode, and I think she called him Blue or something like that.
Yeah, Blue. Yep.
There's been some rumors that they may pull him in and make him more of a central character of, Rangers of a New Republic, because it's all kind of connected. And, just even with their little interaction, it was kind of like they were like planting seeds that, there's something else there. There's some other history there with the rebellion.
And I also heard that Luke's character is going to be real prevalent in the Rangers of the New Republic. You know what I mean? That they're going to show a lot of battle scenes with Luke, and Luke's going to be in the Rangers of the New Republic, like have a big, like, part in the whole series. So that's some of the stuff that I've come across and heard. So maybe they're going to kind of do that anyway without Homegirl. You know what I'm saying? And like that's why it seems like we haven't heard that much. It's just been bits and pieces about that. We've been hearing a lot about the Ahsoka show, been hearing a lot about the Obi-Wan joint, the Bad Batch joint, been hearing a lot about that, hearing a lot about the Boba Fett joint. You know what I'm saying? Even possibilities with the Mandalorian piece, and the Rangers of the New Republic's been like, even Andor, you heard about that, you know what I'm saying? But, the only things I've heard is that they're really, really looking at the showcase Luke's Jedi abilities in that series, and that Grogu's going to be in that series as well, and that they're looking to do some famous battles or redo some famous battles that are in the lore, you know what I mean, that are in the books, right? And they're looking at using a lot of Legends material for this. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I heard. But that's a show that I was really looking forward to. You know what I'm saying? I'm really looking forward to that. You know, at first I was like, oh, Rangers of the New Republic. What? That sounds kind of whack. But then once I got into the storyline, I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is going to be, and the Bad Batch is supposed to lead into that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the Bad Batch is connected somehow to the Rangers of the New Republic, you know, what have you. The Bad Batch is an animation series as well. So, and all the other series is a live action. And they're also talking about doing a Star Wars Rebels mini series.
Okay.
Animation though. So, you know, that's kind of what I heard as well on that.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, and speaking on of shows and old characters, man. Ray Park dropped the IG post that shook the internet the other day, man. Ray Park, and for those who don't know, Ray Park is Darth Maul. And we had actually talked about, if it wasn't last week, it was the week before, how we had thought he had been replaced. You know what I'm saying? In some previous, you know, projects. And he put up an IG post. We actually dropped the article just in the comment section. And it's the head, you know, it's the head of Darth Maul. You know, clearly he's in a makeup room, and it's geotag Tatooine, and hashtag Sith Life, hashtag meet me on Dathomir. You know what I'm saying? And you know, so I mean, I think Ray Park is back, Darth Maul. I believe this would be for the Kenobi series, but if there's a lot of back and forth in you know, kind of going over timelines, going over different series, he could be coming, you know, he could be showing up anywhere on a flashback. But he definitely, you know, it seems like the scene, you know, from the animated series,
Star Wars Rebels.
The final showdown. You know what I mean? It seems like they may give you a live action version of that. You know,
man.
You know, if Darth Maul
Yo, man. Yeah, if anybody's out there that's a Star Wars head, that's a nerd, just look up Star Wars Rebels. The episode in the last season where Darth Maul goes to Tatooine and finds and searches out Obi-Wan. They have a lightsaber duel. That's probably one of the most epic duels, and there's only 2 strikes in it. You know what I mean? And there's for a lot of the scene, they're looking at each other. So, but it's a dope scene. It's a dope scene. Anyway, man, what they did with Maul's character in Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, almost bringing it back, it was incredible. You know, you saw the denseness of his character. He's actually one of the most integral characters in the universe, right? Because he got played by Darth Sidious. He got totally Palpatine just totally kicked him to the curb, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? From the gate, forget this cat. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you survived? You know what I mean? I ain't know you survived, right?
Right.
So Darth Maul really doesn't view himself towards the end. He starts questioning his Sithdom, right? Much like how Ahsoka is questioning her Jedi, right? And so when they meet in Clone Wars, and then they meet again actually in Star Wars Rebels, you see the path that Darth Maul is going through. He's actually denounces the Sith, and he says, "Don't call me Darth Maul no more." And in Star Wars Rebels, he introduces himself as Maul. Right? He was like, "Are you Darth? You Darth Maul?" He said, "No, Maul." Right? And so, you know, he has a lot of questions. He's definitely having a lot of going back and forth with his whole allegiance to the Sith and what have you. And he's looking at a way to get back at Palpatine, a way to get back at Darth Sidious. You know what I'm saying? How can I get back at Darth Sidious? So there was him and Ahsoka fight in Clone Wars, and again they fight for a little bit in Star Wars Rebels. But in Clone Wars, he tries to get her to join him. Right. In the last episode 6, I think, in the last season, the next to last episode, he tries to get her to join him to fight, to go up against Darth Sidious, you know, and she thinks about it for a minute, right? She actually thinks about it, and then he says, "Yo, join me." They're about to fight. She thinks about it, and then he says to her about
we might have a little bit of
I'm sorry, man.
difficulties. Oh, no problem. Yeah, he's back. We had a
No, man, my mom called, man, and had it like that. Had to block the call. I'll get back at you, mom, in a minute. Nah, man. So the whole thing, what I was saying was that, you know, Darth Maul is been questioning his whole path. So it's interesting to see where this is and where this is in the timeline and what they're going to do now. If it's before what they did in Star Wars Rebels, because Favreau and Filoni been like, yo, man, with these series, we're gonna be messing up some timelines. Don't think that, you know what I'm saying? Because not everybody's seen Star Wars Rebels, right? So they may, I'm hoping, if they go before Star Wars Rebels and have him go on Tatooine looking for Obi-Wan, oh my goodness, it's a live action series. Sign me up. I'm watching that. That'll be crazy because in the animation, it was crazy, but in live action, it'll be even more crazier with Ray Park. Another thing I want to say about the animation is that they had different voices. I said I made a mistake a few weeks back. They had different voices playing Darth Maul, but at times they would use Ray Park to come in and have him choreograph the fight scenes, right? So he choreographed all of Darth Maul's fight scenes in the last season, as well as in Star Wars Rebels. So when you watch the animation, you get a good vibe that like, yo, this Darth Maul's the dude, you know. Also, man, for those of you who aren't really understand Darth Maul, man, he has an immense power in the Force, man. He's real strong in the Force, man. Extremely strong, extremely powerful. You know what I'm saying? So he's almost up there with Darth Vader. I'm sorry, but not quite. It seems. I don't know. You may disagree. I don't know how you feel about that, Kahari. You know what I mean? But he's close, man. It seems. You know. So bringing him back is great. George Lucas has stated that was one of his biggest mistakes. Was killing him off in episode one, and Filoni was upset at that. And actually, he said that one of the first meetings he had with George Lucas when he was on board with Lucasfilm was to bring back Darth Maul. He said that was his top priority. He said he was like early on in his work with Lucasfilms, he brought that up and pushed for it. And George allowed him to bring him back. And yo, man, Darth Maul is the man. He's one of my favorite characters.
Right, absolutely. And I think that you know, with the Force Ghost element as well as with the timeline bouncing element, I think one series, I think we can expect Darth Maul, we can expect Yoda, we can expect Darth Vader, we can expect Qui-Gon, you know what I mean? We can expect all of those either appearing as Force Ghosts or in flashbacks, you know, or in, you know, whatever, you know, present time. You know, I know there was a comment from Chuck in the comment in the chat, you know, about the timeline of the Bad Batch. Yeah, the Bad Batch is like it happens right around Order 66, and there's definitely scenes in the teaser that shows them actually working with Grand Moff Tarkin. You know what I mean? And Grand Moff Tarkin, you know, finding a use for them. So it seems like they were probably used in the Jedi Purge, you know, as well. And I think they'll get into that, you know, in the Bad Batch, you know, series. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, that was some interesting news that you know, all the speculation that Ray Park put out there, you know, with the tweet. And like I said, we dropped a couple articles that talk about, you can actually see the tweet, you know, that he put up, you know, the hashtag Sith Life, you know what I'm saying? Clearly he has a lot of fun with it, you know what I mean?
Nah, man, come on, man. I mean, he's the man. And like, you know, Rogue One, the scene in Rogue One, the last scene, man. We said that a couple of weeks ago, man. That was crazy when he came up on that piece, man. It was like, oh, that's Darth Maul. He's running the underground. You know what I mean? And like, yo, so, and they actually got into that in Clone Wars. They get into how he takes over the underground. You know what I mean? So it kind of correlates with Rogue One and our Rogue One scene when he comes up there. But that was such a treat to see him in Rogue One. You know what I mean? And you know, I remember when first seeing him in Phantom Menace. I mean, it was like, who's that? Right? Like, what character is that? Where's he from? You know what I'm saying? That was the initial, from the first 10 seconds he came on screen, was like, oh, who's that? What's his backstory? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, to have him back, to have Ray Park back, hopefully they get into it, and hopefully, like you said, he'll be involved in a lot of the episodes or some of the series.
Right, absolutely, yeah. So, Yeah, at this point, wanted to talk a little bit about the High Republic. New stuff is coming out. I don't know if you checked out some of the stuff. I know Nate and Big Phil have been checking out the comics. I'm like halfway through A Test of Courage by Justina Ireland. Um, and it's a book that's more like a teen book. And it's really cool. It focuses on Vanessa Rowe, who is a young 15, 16-year-old Jedi Knight. Actually, her claim to fame is that she's like the youngest in centuries to pass the trials.
You're saying that.
Yeah, so it kind of like, centers around them, and they're taking a delegation to the commemoration of the Starlight Beacon. And I'm just getting into the part of the book where it really gets into what's going on, who's the bad guys, who are they going to be beefing with, you know what I mean? So, so by next week, I should have a nice book report, for the High Republic. But I know that the comics are dropping, actually Into the Dark. It's come out. I just grabbed that on Audible. So I'm not going to get into that until I finish A Test of Courage. About Claudia Gray, who's done a ton of Star Wars books. But have you peeped any of the new stuff from the High Republic?
I haven't really. No, I haven't. I mean, I'm curious. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching what's being released. You know what I'm saying? I'm like listening to y'all. You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious at the whole thing, and just the whole storyline. And what timeline is the High Republic in, for those who may not know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those, like, where does it fit in the overall universe or the overall timeline?
Right.
Whether it's canon or legend, whatever.
Right. It's all canon. There's a High Republic 1 I just dropped from Marvel.com, High Republic 1, and there's High Republic 2. Nathaniel was doing an event today. I think they got pushed back or postponed, but he wasn't able to join us yet. But if when he joins us next week, he can give us a rundown, because I know he's checked them out. I know people are definitely checking them out from Marvel Comics. I hear they're really dope. They get into some of the characters that aren't the main characters, but I'm actually looking right now at the High Republic #1 from Kevin Scott, and it looks like Azar Krisk and Skier are on the front on the front page with another young Jedi. So yeah, man. They're rolling. They have the next episode of the High Republic show comes out in March, where they're gonna have some more updates. And again, they're investing a lot. It's 200 years before the Phantom Menace. And The Light of the Jedi, which is just a fantastic book. By Charles Soule, which is kind of the first episode of
the High Republic
era.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, next up, is the Bad Batch. We're waiting to see, I don't think there's been a release date on the Bad Batch yet, though. I think they're still working on it. But if you have anything you want to share about the Bad Batch.
Nah, man. I mean, that's like, definitely waiting for that. I mean, it looks like they're the special ops of the whole, empire, that they were the special ops, CIA type of missions. I always go back to when Anakin asked them who did they answer to in Clone Wars in the first in the first episode in season 7, right, last season, and they were like, we don't know. That's a good question. So that's interesting that they had the general there, like running them, you know what I mean? So it'd be interesting to see who they're running. It'd be interested to see if they actually are from the standpoint. I'd be very, very interested to see from their standpoint, them hunting down Jedi. That'd be ill to me. That'd be ill in an animated series, them hunting down Jedi, yo. That'd be crazy. What if they come across like a Mace Windu in an animated joint? He fights him off and he gets away. I mean, there's so many possibilities with that you could take that all, and that's kind of what we're hearing, that they are the ones that can kind of go get the Jedi, man. And each clone, they kind of had a defect that made them like have a superpower. You know what I mean? So one clone can fly or whatever. One clone can like is real strong, pick up like houses and big trucks and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Big ships. Another clone can see way far and hear. A long distance and see from the back. There's like all types of stuff that another clone's real smart, you know what I'm saying, can talk a whole bunch of different languages and can translate all over the universe and stuff like that there, and real technical savvy and all like that. So each clone has like that type of superpower that kind of take down, whatever they're working at, or whatever they're looking to take down. And supposedly they're going to be hunting Jedi. So that'll be interesting, man. Again, this whole new shift with the whole app, with the whole storytelling of allowing us to see things from, and I think we were talking about that a couple weeks ago. There's always been a way where we've always seen the Star Wars universe from the Jedi's perspective, or from the Palpatine, Padme's perspective, right? From politically, the political perspective of a liberal type of society, what have you. And we haven't seen a live action series or animation series from the perspective of a Sith, or from the perspective of a, like a whole other political type of situation. Now we did see that in Clone Wars. Filoni did that a couple times throughout the series, where he just focused on Darth Maul. So there was 3 episodes, and I think season 5, or was this all Darth Maul, like a whole series, 3 episodes, just Darth Maul. There was, and we got to see that, you know what I mean? So it'd be interesting to see from the Bad Batch where they go, and that perspective. I think having that perspective from the other view is very, very needed, and very, very welcomed, and very, very interesting and fascinating. You know what I'm saying? In the Star Wars universe, because we didn't really get that much. You get it in books, you get it in comic books, you know what I mean? You get it in the video games, but you haven't really gotten in the live action, you know what I'm saying, or animated as much.
Right. And I know with the Disney Fan Club newsletter that comes out, D23, there's going to be a feature on Bad Batch, but still there's not quite any information on the release date, So a lot of people are hoping in this D23, and I'm dropping the Twitter link.
They said that was supposed to be the next show that dropped, but we don't know.
Right. And like you said, and everything blown up with WandaVision and everything.
Oh my goodness!
Plus, I'm who knows?
Oh my goodness! I just came across something. They said that
kind of gear shifts that they're making based on the popularity.
Last week, man, they had 90 million subscribers, new subscribers, within a month. 90 million, man. 90 million, man. That was like in the New York Times or Wall Street. 90 million, man. Like in a month, man. That's incredible. I mean, I know Netflix, man, HBO Max. Well, HBO Max got the Black Panther movie, but still, I know Netflix is shaking, man.
Right.
It gotta be. I mean, come on, man. I mean, the way WandaVision's blown up, the way the Mandalorian. I mean, oh my goodness, they had 2 shows blow up like within the last 3 months,
right?
Like in ways that haven't happened in years. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that hasn't happened in a long time, where a show like that. I mean, you're talking about like going back to like Seinfeld, or like Malcolm in the Middle. You know what I'm saying? Or like one of them 90s sitcom shows that like blew up. You know what I'm saying? Or like, Breaking Bad, or Sopranos. You know what I'm saying? Or The Wire. You know what I'm saying? Like shows like that was on HBO in the early 2000s. You know what I mean? That was on cable, right?
Right.
Cable TV, right? Man, I haven't seen this. I may be wrong, but as far as streaming shows, these 2 shows, The Mandalorian and WandaVision, man, it kind of made history, I think, when it comes to streaming. You know what I mean? If you look at it from that perspective, man, because not too many other shows have blown up like that. I mean, Netflix is blown up. This shows are blown up, but not like this, though. Do you think?
No.
I mean, House of Cards was big, but man, not like this,
Yeah, now it's become a cultural phenomenon.
Exactly.
In months, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, in like, and WandaVision's, is become bigger than the Mandalorian faster. Um, I think, from my point of view, you know what I'm saying? I feel like Mandalorian was more of a season one slow burn for the heads, and then season two, and then there's still people just
getting on it.
discovering, and I think it's partly because of WandaVision. You know what I mean? I think some people are watching WandaVision and then like, oh, yeah, I do keep hearing about this Mandalorian thing, and then they jump on Mandalorian and then they get to watch 2 seasons because that's what most people do.
Right.
I'm more old school. I'm an old school serial cliffhanger head. So I want the cliffhanger. I want to wait a whole week to find out what's going to happen.
I feel you, man. Me and you both, man.
50 style format where you wait a whole week to find out, man, what happened. I love that anticipation.
Yeah, man, because you're thinking about it all week, and you're coming up with your own conclusions, and you're hoping that, and you're wondering if your conclusion is going to be the conclusion that, you know what I'm saying? And either way, you're going to be open. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm with you. I feel you. You know
what I mean? I'm just that old school head, man, from the serial, Flash Gordon. 1950s. I just love that.
Right.
I love that whole genre. You know what I mean? Like I do hope that eventually they do have a serial, kind of show. Like a Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock presents, where like each week is a different vignette, from the Star Wars universe, where you could just get into just one character and
right,
and just. It just the same way Alfred Hitchcock in the Twilight Zone would just take anything, and turn into the half an hour, 40-minute story. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't need to have all these biopics and all these. Oh, we want to see the Yoda movie, and you know what I mean. You could do like a Yoda episode on this serial, kind of show where almost kind of like Tales from the Star Wars universe,
right?
And like Tales of the Bounty Hunter type, you know what I mean? Where it's just we have these vignette tales, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Nah, man, definitely, man. I feel you, man. Now, one of the thing about the Mandalorian and WandaVision, like comparing them to, like WandaVision, it's talking to my daughter, you know what I'm saying? Because she's a senior in high school, you know what I mean? She grew up with Clone Wars, you know what I'm saying? So like she is very much abreast to Clone Wars and Marvel, you know what I mean? She knows all the movies, Winter Game or Winter man, I'm Winter Joint. The Winter Joint, the Captain America movie is her favorite movie.
Oh yeah, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Yeah, I almost said Winter Games. Yeah, Winter Soldier is her favorite movie. But she said that she was kind of perturbed at all the new fans coming into WandaVision. You know what I mean? And she was kind of perturbed by that, seeing stuff online, like all these newbies who haven't seen any of the movies. People are like posting, like, what's going on with this character or that character. But she made a good comment to me. She said, an interesting comment. She said, with the Mandalorian, because she's watched both. She said that with the Mandalorian, you needed to know, like, the background. You needed to have some type of familiarity with the Star Wars universe to be able to get into the Mandalorian. Like from the door, you need to already have some understanding to really get into the Mandalorian, right? Whereas the first season, right? Whereas with the WandaVision, she said you didn't even need to know the movies. You didn't even have to watch the movies. You didn't have to know any of the Endgame, any of the Marvel movies to understand and get into this series the way they did it. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is the way they packaged it, the way they told the story. They kind of open it up where people are coming in that haven't even seen the movies or haven't even seen Star Wars and know nothing about Captain America or Winter Soldier or Iron Man or any of that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the popularity. And I think it's a lot of young women, young girls, and young women that are really, really gravitating to WandaVision, where I think with Mandalorian in the first season, not so much in the second season. The second season, it kind of blew up and went pop culture and went, casual fan and mainstream. But in the first season, it was for the heads, man. So you had a lot of nerds like me and you
right,
watching the joint, or maybe like someone like my daughter who just happens to be my daughter, right? So she's down with Star Wars and down with Marvel movies because I was dragging her to see the movies and see the Star Wars joints, and she became a fan in her own right. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that happened, I think, you know, and I could be wrong, but it seems like it was much more mainstream from the door because of the accessibility to the show. Whereas the Mandalorian's first season was really, man, it was for the heads, man. It was like on the low, man. It was like the underground album, yo. It wasn't, you know, it was that Smith and Wesson, yo. It wasn't that Nas, you know what I'm saying? It was that Helter Skelter, you know what I'm saying? Like it was on the low, man. And then
it's a Western, it's a space Western, you know.
Yeah.
And WandaVision is the mashup of the Marvel comic book universe, you know, meets you know,
sitcoms and
classic American sitcom, and like a mashup between that, which sitcoms are obviously always going to be more accessible and popular than Westerns. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So people can kind of be connected to, oh yeah, I remember that, or I remember Bewitched, or I remember I Love Lucy, or they're doing a lot of Lucy thing. Whereas, like you said, a Western, yeah, man, that's more like a male dominant type of head thing. You know what I'm saying? My dad was in Italian Westerns. That's how I got into Westerns, because my dad was in Westerns. He was in the Clint Eastwood, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He was watching those movies, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Had me watching them with him, you know what I'm saying? My mom wasn't into that, you know what I'm saying? That was all him. So like, and it was the same with Star Wars and stuff like that too, right? So like, you know, yeah, man, I agree, man. It's definitely much more accessible, you know?
Yeah, still more, you know, probably top three, you know, favorite movie of all time is The Outlaw Josie Wells. You know, classic. You know,
that joy
Western from that era, man. That movie's wild.
And Star Wars, and we know just from being, man, George Lucas, Favreau, Filoni, they take a lot from Westerns. They take a lot from Westerns. They take a lot from samurai movies. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what The Mandalorian is. It's a little bit of samurai, but it's a lot of Western, you know, just a Western path, Western travel movie that I'm on this adventure in this like, you know, Darth's land, this land that's this like Tatooine is like a desert, yo. You know what I'm saying? It's like this lost land with these, you know, these scrubby characters. You know, Tatooine's like the big hood. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's like a Western, like walking to this town in Wyoming where, you know what I mean? Like
swashbucklers,
where the sheriff's word is the sheriff's word. If he wants you dead, you just going, oh well, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's kind of where we're at, man.
Right.
So,
there's obviously been multiple scenes that have, you know, harkened back to that, you know, that classic, you know, that was even, you know, a motif that, you know, the Juice Crew used in the symphony, you know, the classic motif of the swashbucklers walking into the Western bar, you know, and, you know, even obviously the Mandalorian, the first scene in the Mandalorian season 1, you know, is that, you know what I mean? It's the classic, you know what I'm saying? The swashbuckler walks into the bar, you know, a gunfight breaks out, you know what I'm saying? You know, obviously, you know, the cantina and Mos Eisley, you know what I'm saying? The original one, the Wretched Hive of Slum and Villainy, you know, like all that, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's all, you know, classic, you know, Western. And we actually just dropped in the chat, you know, some of 5 samurai and 5 Westerns that, you know, strongly, you know, influence, you know, Star Wars, you know what I mean? And you look at Han Solo, you know, he's clearly a cowboy, you know, swashbuckler type, you know, his character more than any of in the original series is based upon, you know, a character from a Western film, you know, that's that whole bravado, you know what I mean? Like, I'm tired of running, you know, let's go take them head on, you know, kind of 1940s, 1950s, Steve McQueen, Wanted Dead or Alive, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, shows I think are incredible. You know, obviously, you know, the lack of diversity, you know, as far as in the cast of those shows back in the day is whack. But, you know, they just told great stories in a half an hour. And then next week is a whole other story. But, you know, and so much of the Mandalorian storyline follows like Wanted Dead or Alive, like those 1950s shows, because it was like they come to town, they face a challenge, they got to figure some shit out.
Right.
Some folks want them to stay.
Right.
I mean, it seemed like it would be so easy for them to stay, and then they just go off, and then they go on for another adventure next week. You know?
Yeah. Right.
And there's so much classic American television, you know, that's based upon, you know, that motif. And Favreau and Filoni and Lucas is all students of classic American style storytelling, you know what I mean, particularly in the visual the visual genres of animation and live action, and that's what makes Star Wars so dope, is that that brings it together. But when you do something like bringing the Marvel comic universe, and TV sitcoms, and do this like mashup, that's like really groundbreaking, television in its own right. 'Cause I don't think anybody's has ever even tried it,
Nah.
and based on the popularity, I went back and read stuff that like articles about it from like last summer and last fall, and listening to them and reading them, try to describe it, is really interesting, as well as
Yeah.
reaction, you know what I mean, to folks. Because it seemed like the first 3 episodes, a lot of folks really didn't understand what's going on. And then episode 4 and 5, kind of the light bulb came off, and then it's kind of like this phenomenon just took on a whole other, just took on a life of its own.
Yeah. My daughter was saying that definitely the first couple episodes were real slow, and she didn't understand like where they was going with it. You know what I mean? But once episode 4 opened up, she opened up to it, and she had to like Google the old series. You know what I'm saying? So it's making like her and her friends are watching it, right? So it's making them like they're like 17, 18 years old, man. They don't know nothing about I Love Lucy or Bewitched, you know what I'm saying? So it's making them go back and YouTube these old series so they can compare, and now they're getting a better idea of what they're doing with WandaVision, you know what I mean? So it's interesting, man. It definitely is groundbreaking, you know what I mean, when it comes to how they like kind of set it off with the storytelling and how they're doing it non-linear. It's like a non-linear approach to it, you know what I'm saying? Whereas the Mandalorian is more centralized. It's a linear story, you know what I'm saying? It's a linear story that we're walking through, whereas WandaVision is like not like that at all. The deep thing about it though, man, in this day and age, Kahari, man, I tell you not, man, I have not seen an episode of WandaVision. My daughter's been watching it. She's put me deep. You know what I mean? And so I asked her about it. They're on it, right? She's watching it, what have you. But I had not seen an episode of it. I just read what people, Phil has his piece. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading what they're saying and what have you. Dude, man, I figured it out. I was like, yo, episode. Oh, they're in the Thanos. They're in the world when Thanos snapped his finger. Like they're in the alternate reality. That's what that is, right? And I didn't even read that, yo. I just kind of. I was like, yo, I saw episode 4. Episode 4 is crazy. Episode 4. And I saw somebody say something about alternate reality. I was like, oh, yeah, that's what happened. You know what I mean? And then you had people posting, trying to go back to Endgame, watch Endgame. And people were like watching the Age of Ultron, trying to ask questions about the Age of Ultron and who's Quicksilver and what have you. I'm like, yo, that's what happened. So I asked my daughter, I said, yo, did that happen? She's like, yeah, that's what happened. You know what I mean? And, yo, Kahari, man, it's crazy. And it just so, I just happen to be a Marvel head. I haven't watched WandaVision, but I'm a comic book head. I'm an old school comic book head, right? And saw all the movies, Batman, all of that, along with Star Wars. And the fact that we can induce, right, from looking at social media posts, what's happening in the episode in this day and age is crazy. I can do that with Mandalorian too. Like I could just read. That's why I stopped reading when the episode drops, right? Because the first season there wasn't too many spoilers, right? By the evening, you could be like, "Oh, that's what happened in the episode," right? The first season. By the evening, by like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, because it would drop in the morning on Friday. By 9 o'clock, it's like, "Oh yeah, I can kind of get a sense of what happened in the episode." Yo, man, this past season, by the end of the season, it was by like 11 o'clock in the morning. But like 10 in the morning, it was like, yo, that happened. I gotta watch this joint at 8 in the morning because by 11 in the morning, there's gonna be so many spoilers all over the net, not just on Facebook, on Instagram, you know what I'm saying, on Twitter, on YouTube, all over the place. I'm sure that it's just interesting in the day and age we live in, man, that you can kind of get that without even watching the series or watching the episode. You can kind of like, oh yeah, that's what I don't know the details, but I got the gist of the big picture that, oh, Thanos, this is the alternate universe that she's in. This is her making this up, you know what I'm saying, or whatever's going on with that, right? So, like I said, I haven't seen the episode, but it's just interesting in this day and age that we live in. That's all. I ain't want to go on too much about that, but it's fascinating, though, man. It's fascinating.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And for those who are just joining us, we're going to wrap up an abridged show today, but we talked about the Gina Carano controversy and what's next, how they're going to deal with the character Cara Dune for a Mandalorian season 3. We talked about Pedro Pascal and the naming of that he's going to be the lead of the HBO show Last of Us. And how that's going to be top priority and how that may affect the production schedule for Mandalorian season 3. We also talked about Ray Park's recent IG post teasing that he's returning to live action as Darth Maul, seemingly probably in the Obi-Wan Kenobi, series. And then we just finished, just talking about, kind of just how big Disney Plus is getting. The incredible popularity of WandaVision, which is the MCU, show, and obviously, we're Star Wars Lucasfilm only, here, but it's so relevant and it obviously is under the Disney banner, and we can only anticipate with the popularity of WandaVision and the growing popularity of Mandalorian, that they're intertwined, and as WandaVision gets more popular, it's only just going to add to the popularity of the shows that are going to come down the road as we get into Bad Batch, get into Andor, as we get into Obi-Wan and Mandalorian season 3, and of course in December, the Book of Boba Fett chapter 1.
Hey, yo, man, I just hope they don't. I saw something. I don't know if you saw it. I hope they don't blend the two universes, man.
No, they said they're not. Yeah.
Oh, man, come on, man. That's some whack stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Keep Marvel. You know what I'm saying? Keep Star Wars, man. I do not want to see Iron Man flying, coming up in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In some Star Wars episode, man.
Right.
I don't want to see Doctor Strange fighting a Jedi, yo. No, man, I'm cool. I'm good. I am good with that. If that happens, yo, Corey, I am protesting. I am protesting. I am tweeting like a big tweet. No, I'm messing around, but I'm joking. But no, we can't see that. We can't do that. So hopefully, there was rumors of that. So hopefully they don't do that. And I'm gonna be old school. I don't want to see that.
Right. Yeah. And the head of Marvel Studios, and I'm just dropping that in the link, said that's not going to be the case. You know what I mean? There's not going to be any mashup. You know what I'm saying? Between the Star Wars and the Marvel, comic book, universe, at least it doesn't appear to be, and it really wouldn't make sense, either. You know what I mean? That would just be too much.
But what this is doing though, Corey, is actually creating better production value for the shows.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it, man. Like, these, 90 million people signed up for the app since the year began. They have 90 million people that signed up for Disney Plus app since January 1st. That is crazy. That is crazy. Some saying 100 million. Right. This is from Viable. This is like from Wall Street Journal. You can look it up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like, yo, man, like 90 million people, man. So like, what I'm saying is like, for the future, is going to up the production. You know what I mean? It's going to up the technology because they got more time to invest in these shows to make these shows look a lot more better. So it's good for Star Wars that WandaVision is blowing up, just like it was good for The Mandalorian, because actually The Mandalorian kind of set up Star Wars, man. It was like that it was like that radio hit, that kind of, comes out and he kind of does a little something in the club or whatever. But then that second single blows up, becomes like an a Grammy Award winning single, and that's kind of what happened with it seems like with these shows, it's like The Mandalorian in his own right is popular, but it's set up what was next for the WandaVision and what they did with that. You know what I mean? And it seemed like social media, they're definitely using social media as a gauge, as a way to market, and then as a way to gauge, right? And it seemed like they kind of had that, it set the model, like you said earlier, that we, kind of going through things, finding out more about the technology and what they're doing, right? So by season 2, they got this thing kind of pretty much on The Mandalorian. Okay, we go to social media to promote. We go to social media to gauge, right? Yo, with the WandaVision thing, man, they had that model. They got that model down pat, yo.
Right.
They got that model down pat, yo. They like, Man, they put that thing on social media, man. That thing blew up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think they're gauging everything. Now they're like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it seems like that's the model they're following. And it'd be better for Star Wars. It'd be better for the Marvel shows that they're going to do, upcoming, because it's better production for those shows, since
Right.
they have these resources now,
Yeah.
Hey man, if I'm Netflix, man, I'm having some meetings right now, man. There's no days off.
Right. Right.
I'm telling you, the CEO at Netflix is like, no days off. He sent a mandate. He sent
Right.
the email out like last week. I'm telling you, man.
Right.
They getting hurt, man. Netflix is getting killed right now. And
Right.
particularly, and also, we got the Black Panther movie on HBO
Right.
Max. Man,
Right.
Cass is like, Netflix, what? Yo,
Right.
my daughter was like, she feels like she doesn't have to go anywhere else for her entertainment.
Right.
Like all she said, I just have Disney Plus. That's all I need, because they have the old shows on there. They got all the movies. They got all these new shows coming up. I don't need to go anywhere else for my entertainment.
Right.
That's an 18-year-old saying that. Yo, you think Disney loves that? Disney,
Right.
yeah, we want all 18-year-olds to say that. That's what they're going for. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, I don't know what the future holds, but Netflix definitely is taking a dent. Definitely,
Right.
And they were kind of reigning over the last few years. It was Netflix and chill, Netflix. Definitely last year with the pandemic, Netflix. But
Yeah.
with these two shows,
Right.
with the Mandalorian, WandaVision, and all of their catalog and all of their resources and all the things that they can do, I think Disney Plus has done wrap the game up, man. This is the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick,
Right.
New England Patriots, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Type move. This is Dr. Dre every time he drops an album move, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Jay-Z, like Beyonce and Jay-Z drop an album, it's platinum, like
Right.
no matter what. That's
Right.
what this is. That's
Right.
what Disney Plus is, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Yeah, nah, man. Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see, how the Mandalorian and um WandaVision, and the rest of this year rollout, plays out, and the role the pandemic plays in it, and then the role that, once movie theaters, open back up, the role that's gonna play,
Right.
as well, you know what I'm saying? In some of these upcoming projects. Yeah, so yeah, man, we covered a lot, today. Want to thank everybody for joining, everybody in the comments section. Again, we talked about, Gina Carano controversy. We talked about Pedro Pascal's availability for Mando season 3 now that he's doing the HBO project Last of Us. We talked about Ray Park coming back as Darth Maul potentially. And then we talked about, just the schedule, moving forward, and the D23 publication coming out soon. That's a Disney Fan Club publication that we hope in that publication coming out later this month, there will be a release date for the Bad Batch. So we'll be following that, closely as well. So
we talked about the High Republic too, right? You broke down
yeah,
the High Republic.
we talked about, the High Republic comics 1 and 2. We hope to get a review on that, next week, from the Mandalorian. So we want to thank everybody for joining us for episode 10 of Lando's Palace. Thanks for, joining us among the clouds today. We had a great conversation. Next week, we'll be back at it. I'm sure, there's going to be a lot to talk about. Every Sunday we don't quite know, what the next week is going to hold. But, again, this week, was a doozy, so until next week, thank you so much for the support. May the force be with you. And next week at 11 a.m., as Lando Calrissian would say, join us among the clouds. Check us out on Facebook. You should get the shot. Check us out on Facebook at Lando's Palace, Lando Palace on Twitter, and Lando's Palace.live. That web address will take you actually right to our Facebook page, which has a library of all 10 episodes. So, thanks everybody for supporting and all the positive feedback we keep getting. We're going to keep doing this, particularly, and one thing I will say, as we move forward into the year, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to keep Lando's Palace as kind of the home, of just general Star Wars talk. And then once these new shows drop, we're going to also do special kind of reaction, shows that will only last, for the season, and then do some conversation about it on Lando's Palace. But we want to keep Lando's Palace kind of general Star Wars conversation, and then we're going to do special kind of in season reaction shows. So the first one will be the Bad Batch. Whenever that comes out, we're going to start, a reaction show after every episode, and then the next one after that will be the Boba Fett joint. But this will be the place to kind of talk about all things Star Wars, comics, movies, live action, animation, etc. And then we'll have our special reaction shows in season when and then even when the movies come out, we'll do special kind of joints as well. You know what I'm saying? So anything you want to say, Lukey, before we sign off?
Nah, man, it's a great conversation, man. And again, man, I'm just looking forward to that Bad Batch. Hopefully you can drop this spring, man. I mean,
Yeah.
to starve for some new Star Wars content. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll be following close that D23 release, and when that comes out, hopefully there'll be a release date for Bad Batch. And yeah, thanks everybody for coming out, supporting. For those who are watching the replay, thank you for checking us out on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. Until next Sunday, may the force be with you. Peace.
Peace. Mm-hmm.